Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. Time for an update. Again, the market, wild, choppy, reversals, up, we're down. Which way are we gonna go? Long story short, very positive action in the market today. Nice to see the bulls come back. A little bit of a U-turn being staged here early in the day. And so I'm gonna go over the charts. I'm gonna cover a few of the key levels to be watching here on Bitcoin, as well as some of the other names that I'm watching here. But for the most part, it's across the board. It's just good to see. We're seeing small caps, mid caps. The majors were outperforming on the way up as BTC was rallying. Things like Litecoin breaking out, EOS strong, Ethereum strong. And so I'm going to go over some names that I'm watching. Certainly not running for the races. Here we go, strong bull move. But could that be the end of the pullback on the daily chart that we're looking at here, the consolidation that we've been seeing here for the last week plus in this very choppy range that we saw last week? And so I'm going to go over that, some levels to be watching here. First, let's zoom out and let's take a big picture view here on the weekly chart. We had 2 green weeks in a row at the close of last week. Now, granted, it's a little bit of a narrow week last week, so what are the chances that we get a green week this week? You know, it's not going to take much of a close above to get a green week, and the same thing on the way down. It's not going to take much of a close below to get a red week, but that's positive action. The first time we're seeing 2 green weeks in a row since way back here in September when prices were trading right around that $6,400 range. Now, keep in mind the volume is declining a little bit. Yes, last week's weekly volume was relatively tight, but of course there wasn't a lot of movement. It was pretty choppy, pretty range bound action here in the big picture. Still watching this general potential pennant that is being formed here, bear pennant technically, and so that's something to keep an eye on here. There was an attempt to close above the 10 EMA on the weekly chart 2 weeks ago, couldn't do it. Last week couldn't do it. See if we can finally get breaking out through the upside, and then that'll set up a retest of the high that we saw here in mid-February. That 4180 level is really what I'm watching here now. That's going to be the first high to be taken out, and if it does, then we got a few levels up on the way from there. But just something to keep an eye on here. Also on the monthly charts, not something I really pay attention to a whole lot, but it is positive that we finally saw a green month, the first green month after 6 consecutive red months. And so nice to see a little change, a little green on the board finally. And we'll see if we can get a little bit of follow through in March. Again, volume not very strong there. Does it mean it's the end of the bear? Does it mean it's the end of the pullback? No, of course not. But just something to note here. This was the first green month since July of 2018. So, hey, nice little reprieve from the relentless selling that we've been seeing here for months and months. But zooming into the charts here, a couple of things I want to note. Most importantly, let me clear these lines real quick. There we go. And I covered this in detail for those of you that caught the Node Insiders private live stream yesterday. I caught this in detail. You can also get a link to that here, nodeinsiders.com. The alert system has links to the live streams there. If you go into resources, webinars, we've been doing these Monday updates and chart reviews. And so that's where you can go to check it out and replay that if you want to. But this is what I was pointing out to the group. There was 2 things that we were looking at. And there was a short question that said, hey, are we bullish or bearish? Quick question. And the short answer was, I was leaning bearish. I said, these are looking weak. Things are looking like they're rolling over again. But to be fair, this is the key level to be watching. We haven't breached that yet. Prices are still holding above that. But this was a must hold level. And the level that I'm watching here was this prior base back in here. And we can see that that's really been acting as support. This prior resistance, we saw that big breakout on February 18th. That led to that next rally up. Since this consolidation has been happening, that level has held as support now. So that's a very important level to be watching. That's basically the low of this wick now, 36.55 around there. We retested that yesterday. We had that quick pullback, but now follow through to the downside. And so I said in my live stream yesterday, unless we see like this big U-turn move that pushes prices right back into that 3,800 range with volume, I'm going to remain bearish. The good news is that's exactly what we saw. We saw the volume coming in. If you look here, the volume on the last 2 4-hour candles was strong. So all in all, that is good. That negates this little sell-off that we saw here into the weekend, into Monday. And so now we're seeing prices pulling right back into that 3,800 range, testing this resistance again, but starting to edge a little bit higher. And so that is positive all around. It was a good U-turn, good recovery for the bulls. And so we're still back in the range, unfortunately, but all in all, it's leaning more positive. The fact that we retested this low twice here, support has held, not breached. And again, that's also the Fibonacci retracement level, the 618 level, which is a key level that I'm watching on the downside. And the reason I don't like to see that break lower, because on the daily chart, if this pulls back below that 618 level, which here is at 3668, that's going to really signify the end, confirmation of the end of this rally that we're seeing here, this little bit of a potential higher highs and higher lows. Now we're seeing this consolidation. Could this be the beginning of another leg higher after this week-long pause? Maybe we start to see another stair-stepping move higher. So that's what I'm going to be watching out for. That's what I'm keeping an eye on here. Of course, on the way up, this little consolidation here is going to be your resistance. Basically, that 3,900 range is the next target to be looking at, psychological 4K, and then looking for a potential retest of the highs that we saw here in late February. Let's go take a look at some of the other names I'm watching here. First off, looking at ETH versus BTC. Very nice reversal on the daily chart, above average volume. There's a little bit time left here before the daily close, but all in all, this is still looking pretty good. I was keeping an eye on the bigger picture here because I was thinking, is this a big cup and handle potentially forming, or is this a double top with second top being a little bit lower than the first one here? And so that's what I'm watching here. I'd like to see this daily candle close a little bit stronger and would really give some more validity to the thought of, hey, maybe this is a cup and handle and this is the low of the handle. At that point, I'd be looking to potentially take a long trade on this with my stop in and around that low, that swing low on this daily chart. So that's what I'm going to be watching here on ETH. All in all, it was leading on the way up. As Bitcoin was rallying, this one was outperforming on the way up, which is positive. That's what I'd like to see. Similar action in EOS. Big U-turn, had that shakedown yesterday, pause, and then today when Bitcoin started to rally, a big strong push higher, which did clear some near-term resistance here. So that's good to see that. Volume was also bullish on that, above average volume, and so EOS is another name that's looking strong here. Tron was actually moving up yesterday while some of these other names were pulling back still. Good volume came in here. Now, I've been bearish on Tron here over the last couple of weeks. It's just been a laggard versus BTC. Has not done a whole lot, as some of the other names have been much stronger. Names like Binance Coin, Litecoin, some of those others. But Tron may have finally found some support level here. This is also corresponding with the swing low we saw in mid-January. And there was a big bullish reversal candle yesterday. I would have liked to see a lot more volume on that daily candle yesterday. It's still below the 10 EMA. So just something to make note of. But now it's on my radar again for a potential reversal. Keeping an eye on it here, looking for some more upside confirmation. That may be a pretty good low, and potentially we'll see a little bit of a bounce, some sort of retracement action. We'll see how far that can go. And looking at a few of the stronger names, Litecoin, after this very constructive consolidation on this daily chart, pushing higher, pushing out of range. You can see the volume on that break higher was positive, much stronger than we've seen in the last couple of days, breaking above this resistance here on the BTC chart. If we look at Litecoin from the dollar perspective here, go into Coinbase, let me clear those markups there. You can see, again, strong volume on this. Not quite above resistance here, not officially breaking out, but is stronger relative to BTC here. So very positive action, still making these higher highs on this trending upward in the big picture. Litecoin has been the leader for quite some time now, has been leading the way up over the last couple of months. Very good. Still looks like it has legs, pausing here a little bit below this key resistance level back in here. We'll see if we can finally get a little bit of a breakout and then another leg higher. This consolidation has been positive in the sense that it has let some of these technicals cool off. It was getting a bit overheated there. It had been so strong, and so now it's had that time to digest some of that move. It held up very well during this recent consolidation, this shaky action that we saw over the last week and a half, and it looks like it may be ready to go again. So Litecoin, all in all, looking positive there. And last but not least, Binance Coin continues to just rock here. I took a good trade on this one, got out here over the weekend, and of course breaking out today again higher, all-time highs versus Bitcoin. Just continues to be the leader right now. very strong action. Has a lot of catalysts going. There's some news and rumors. There's just a lot of things they're doing right. There's the DEX, but all in all, Binance Coin, very good action here. If we look at it from the dollar side, it has plenty of room to run from that perspective, as it's nowhere near all-time highs and finally breaking above some resistance. I mentioned this in the live stream I did last week, that this was a key resistance level to be watching. Would have liked to see a little bit more consolidation here, but look at that volume as it breaks out, pushes right through that $12 mark into that $13.50 level now as I record this. Next resistance on the way up, basically $14.70 and then $17 in and around there. But going back to the BTC chart, what I want to see here, this is the daily chart. I'm going to be keeping a big picture view here over the next week, just kind of watching the broader charts. The lower time frames, just very wild, very volatile, a lot of wicks up and down. But this is really what matters to me, the bigger picture here right now. You're seeing these moving averages starting to head up here. Prices are getting right back above. On the shorter time frames, yes, they're kind of all over the place, but in the big picture, since February, we've been seeing this little bit of a stair-stepping higher. We had that dramatic drop, a little bit of a pause. If the bulls managed to find a low here, if that was the low here that we've been seeing in and around 36.50, then I'm looking for a retest and hopefully an eventual breakout of that 4,200 level that we've been watching here for a couple of months now. Above that, then we will continue to look at the next targets up, but it could really start to accelerate at that point and likely test that 5K, which is a psychological number, and then next resistance around 5,500. So that sounds exciting. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Not out of the woods yet, as I like to say. Take it one day at a time. But for now, things are looking better than they were yesterday, and so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for alt versus BTC trades, watching for those names that are outperforming on the way up. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep you guys posted. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.